2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. I was drunk, not tipsy, not buzzed, blackout drunk behind the wheel of my car, leading the Ann Arbor police on what might have been the world's slowest police chase. I was 25 years old, already a financial advisor at American Express. I had just closed the biggest deal of my career that morning. But by 2:30 in the afternoon, I was in handcuffs again. When I got home after another long night in jail, the very first thing I did was pour another drink. It was 9 a.m. You see, your rock bottom can be your ruin, or it can be your rocket fuel. And for 15 years, I chose ruin. For 15 years, I carried a secret through corner offices and boardrooms and Fortune 500 turnarounds. I was drinking a liter of alcohol every single night, 2 pots of coffee every single day, and I was taking 30-second naps at every single red light. And every morning, every single morning, fighting off suicidal ideation in the shower. I was simultaneously the most productive and the most self destructive person in every room that I entered, crushing quotas, but crumbling on the inside. For 15 years, I used an undiagnosed mental illness to build a career that probably should have killed me. And that diagnosis was bipolar disorder. The pills, they changed everything. My 20-hour days became 10-hour days. My grandiose thinking vanished. The pattern recognition that let me see gold where others saw gravel dulled. They took the lightning out of my veins and replaced it with lead. And then I got fired for it. Starbucks parking lot, middle of the day. We're going in a different direction, they said. But what they meant was, you're not the weapon we hired anymore. I sat in that parking lot for 45 minutes, engine off, career off, and I practiced saying it out loud to nobody because I couldn't figure out how I was going to say it to her. I lost my job. The medication that's keeping me alive is the same thing that got me fired, and I don't know what we do now. I must have said it 11 times to an empty car before I could say it once to my wife. And sitting in that parking lot, I asked myself a question that changed the entire trajectory of my life. Did I really have to choose between sanity and success? I decided I was going to refuse that binary choice, and I decided I was going to choose both. During hypomanic episodes, my brain operated like a supercomputer. I could see patterns that other people missed. I could sustain obsessive focus for weeks on a single problem. I made decisions, had needs that terrified colleagues, but captured opportunities before they closed. Those weren't bugs, those were features. But without the medication, those features came bundled with malware that was destroying my body, destroying my marriage, destroying my mind. The medication didn't turn off the supercomputer. It installed a cooling system so the hardware didn't melt. And the system I built on top of it, that was the operating manual that came 15 years too late. A system that any brain could use. And here is where my life and your life collide. Because the patterns that were destroying me personally were the exact same patterns that I saw in every dying company that I had ever been hired to save. I was addicted to alcohol. Companies are addicted to comfort. I confused busy with brilliant, and companies confuse activity with progress. I avoided the hard truth about my health, and companies avoid the hard truth about their stagnation. I was addicted to a bottle. Your board of directors is addicted to a spreadsheet that looks safe. Same drug, different packaging. Comfort is the drug of choice among dying companies, and most companies are already 3 drinks in. I want you to think about something right now. When was the last time your company did something that genuinely terrified or surprised you? Not excited you, but terrified you. If you're still thinking, you are attending your company's funeral right now. You just don't even know it yet. The average S&P 500 company lifespan has crashed from 61 years down to just 18 years. Not from scandal, but from stagnation. And every single one of those companies' final words were the same. That's not how we do things here. So, what does a medicated bipolar brain actually see differently? Let me show you. I was running a shopping cart manufacturer. Shopping carts, the most boring product in American retail. A $75 line item buried in a multi-million-dollar maintenance budget, buried in $1 billion store budget. Every CEO in the industry saw an expense to minimize, but I saw a customer's first handshake with the store. Now, I want you to understand something. I spent 15 years turning businesses around at Berkshire Hathaway, at Illinois Tool Works, at billion-dollar divisions of Fortune 500 companies, boardrooms, private jets, global strategy. And now I'm standing in a Kroger parking lot, counting shopping carts, sitting down in the dirt, spinning the wheels. My psychiatrist was thrilled with my progress. But we did something that nobody in the industry had ever done. We surveyed the actual shoppers. 82% of them had abandoned a shopping trip, walked right out of the store without buying anything, at least one time because of a bad cart. Bad wheels, rust, a cart that pulled to the left like it was trying to get off work early. They didn't just leave the cart, they left the store, and they never came back. They were so frustrated they switched stores. But here's the pattern that comfort made invisible to every executive in the industry. Think for a minute about the life of a shopping cart. When a cart is good, it has smooth wheels, a clean handle, no rust. A customer takes it and they shop for 30 minutes and they roll it to the parking lot. And if you're a good person, you might even leave it in the corral. An employee eventually will come out, grab it, wheel it back inside, and put it in the back of the line. But when a cart is bad, when the wheels are squealing and it's shaking and it's pulling sideways, the customer grabs it and gets frustrated within a couple minutes and abandons it right there at the front of the store or wherever they give up. An employee comes along and they grab that cart and they push it right the front of the line. Do you see it yet? Every store in America wasn't just ignoring the problem, they were actually optimizing the problem, pushing their worst foot forward over and over. The system was designed to make sure it happened automatically. One bad cart, 20 abandoned trips a day, $50 per trip, hundreds of bad carts, 365 days a year. These stores were bleeding millions of dollars in lost sales to save $75. Every competitor saw a cost to cut, and I saw a catastrophe to cure. So we burned the old playbook down. We stopped selling $75 carts one at a time. We started selling full fleet replacements, proactive 7-figure contracts to transform an entire chain's fleet at one time. Fewer products, fewer customers, radically more profit. Revenue went up 60%, EBITDA went up 200%. Not because we invented anything, but because we killed the complexity that was smothering the business and we concentrated everything on what actually created value. It was the same carts and the same factories and the same people, just different eyes. And here's what haunts me. Every competitor had the same carts, the same customers, the same data, even the same parking lots. The difference wasn't information and it wasn't intelligence. Comfort had made them blind. The only reason I could see that pattern was that I had spent 15 years being forced to see the connections the comfortable brain filters out. What you're trying to fix is often what is trying to talk to you. The broken carts were screaming the answer at an entire industry, and nobody listened. Because listening would have meant confronting everything that they believed. Research shows 11% of entrepreneurs share my diagnosis. 11%. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. Bipolar is only about 2% of the overall population. But here's the thing I need you to hear. You, sitting here right now, have something that I never had during those 15 years. You have stability. You have the ability to sleep through the night, to think clearly at 2 p.m., to not need handcuffs to find your rock bottom. You don't need bipolar to use what bipolar taught me. You just need the courage to think differently. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not Monday, tonight. Grab a napkin, grab a receipt, the back of your hand if you have to. Write down one thing that your customer does, the one product, the one process, the one person that everyone knows is broken, that everyone talks about in the hallway, that everyone brings up after 2 drinks at the bar, but nobody will say out loud in a meeting. And write it down, name it, and stare at it. That thing that you just thought of, that's your liter of vodka. That's your 9 a.m. drink. And every day you don't kill it, that is what is killing you. Now circle it and write one word next to it. delete. What you're trying to fix is trying to talk to you. Are you listening? At 2 p.m. on that Saturday, I was in handcuffs. Today, I'm sober. Your rock bottom can be your ruin, or it can be your rocket fuel. I chose ruin for 15 years before I chose rocket fuel. Your company is making that same choice right now, today. Committees don't choose rocket fuel. Warriors do. Your company's obituary has already been written. The only question is whether you have the courage to delete it. I poured my last drink at 9 a.m. on a Sunday, and I still count the days. The only difference between me and your company is that I stopped waiting for the handcuffs.